the Chief Deputy Attorney General of the Washington State Attorney General's Office, Brian Moran.
Good morning. On behalf of Attorney General McKenna, I'm delighted to be here and share in this day. Like most things in life, they're coupled with good news, bad news. The good news is that I get to share the stage with a number of ordinary people who've done extraordinary things when they were asked to, when they were called to, and because they had to. The bad news is that I'm learning about preparation is, part of preparation is not wearing a flannel suit on a day that gradually warms up. So I will always check the weather before I leave my home. Without further ado, I would like to begin the recognition of these extraordinary people that I get the privilege and the honor to share the stage with. The first recipient is National Park Ranger Uwe Neering, and I would ask you to come up, if you would, please, sir. Having worked for the National Park Service since 1982, Uwe has served in the East District Ranger as an East District Ranger for Mount Rainier National Park Service since 1996. He's dedicated to providing public safety and protection of natural and cultural resources throughout multiple national parks in the Pacific Northwest. Uwe oversees all law enforcement as well as structure and wildland fire response, emergency medical services, search and rescue operations, and for the East District of Mount Rainier. Uwe currently serves in the Coast Guard Reserve as a Chief Warrant Officer, Coast Guard Sector Puget Sound, and has served so since 1976, most recently in the Coast Guard Reserve as a Chief Warrant Officer on anti-terrorism, overseeing marine security patrols for our nation's harbors and waterways. He has served this country protecting national marine security in Korea, Hawaii, and the state of Washington. He has trained and mentored new rangers from Mount Rainier and other parks throughout the country in law enforcement operations for the National Park Service. An expert skier, Uwe conducts patrols year-round in most backcountry areas in and around Mount Rainier and has served on a special Park Service detail providing perimeter security and support for the 2002 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City. He is known for his solid field skills in all aspects of public safety, from pulling over speeders on Highway 410, conducting search and rescue operations, and he has earned the respect of those he has worked with, within and without the National Park Service. Uwe is highly regarded by officers and employees of the State Patrol, the Department of Natural Resources, and the Department of Transportation, among many others. He is highly regarded and respected for his experience and ability to lead and perform all tasks required to keep the public safe and to protect our precious resources in our national parks. I want to thank you, Uwe, for sharing your lifelong commitment to the citizens of the state of Washington. Next recipient is Daniel E. Harden, Coast Guard District 13 Prevention Division. Dan was nominated for this award for his extraordinary service and commitment in promoting the safety of the mariners of the state of Washington. He has unhesitatingly interacted with and educated local fishermen in order to further their awareness of safe vessel operation and safety initiatives. He's personally supervised and conducted survival training in the Bering Sea and offshore Washington fleets, including man-overboard training, the donning and use of survival suits, and many other survival drills. His exhaustive effort to coordinate Coast Guard field personnel to provide a just-in-time pre-season vessel safety examination, as well as additional training focusing on vessel stability, life-saving equipment, and firefighting equipment, was instrumental in mitigating the hazards of work at sea and ensuring mariners' safe return. I want to thank you, Dan, on behalf of the citizens of the state of Washington for your dedication to the commitment and the safety and the welfare of the mariners of the state of Washington. I now want to call a couple of, quote, ordinary citizens, Scott Ferris with the Taylor Shellfish Fisherman, Life Cofield, and Jose Torres to join me. As you'll learn in a moment, these ordinary citizens performed an extraordinary act of heroism in saving the life of another. Scott Ferris was on his back deck when he thought he heard faint cries for help from somewhere out in the Totten Inlet. A 10-foot skiff carrying two men who were out harvesting buoy ducks had just sunk, and the two men were stranded in 46-degree water. Scott Ferris saw two heads bobbing, and he scrambled for his kayak without thinking and immediately headed toward the men. At the same time, commercial fishermen Life Cofield and Jose Torres from Taylor's Shellfish also heard the cries, and they too sprung into action. Ferris reached one of the men who was a quarter-mile offshore and paddled him to safety behind his kayak. The commercial fisherman rescued the other stranded man. A Coast Guard helicopter and a boat with a Thurston County Sheriff's Office were dispatched to participate in the rescue, but by the time they arrived, Ferris and the Taylor's Shellfish boat had already saved the two men. Emergency responders told Scott Ferris they had saved the men's life. The rescued men reported that their work skiff was having engine problems, and because of the high winds, the boat took on water, causing it to sink. On behalf of the citizens of the state of Washington and those of us gathered here to honor you, we say thank you for protecting the lives of those two folks in a boat on that cold day. We'd next like to honor Major Chris Panish and also an award to the 194th Regional Support Wing. Major Chris Panish and the 194th Regional Support Wing were nominated for their exhaustive emergency response efforts during the December floods. Among the life-saving efforts of their unit, under the direction and leadership of Major Panish, the 194th Regional Support Wing made food pickup runs from neighboring donation points and brought it back to shelters for folks who needed those food items. He distributed donated food and meals ready to eat throughout neighborhoods. They took prescription orders and they brought back to the Emergency Operations Command. They assisted in feeding livestock, and they were on helicopter communications and deconfliction. They moved and distributed large amounts of bottled water, distributed rakes and shovels to flood victims, and they provided ground transportation for 500 pounds of frozen food to the Ho tribe. They delivered MREs to the Belfair Fire District, Mason County, and they provided a rapid response team to Mason County consisting of 5-ton trucks, a command and control vehicle, and a vehicle with aviation radio capacities. They knocked on doors finally to offer any other aid or assistance that they could to the folks who needed them most. Through these efforts and their tireless devotion to emergency response, the floods of December, Major Panish and the 194th Regional Support Wing bring tremendous pride to the state of Washington and to all of those they helped during that time. I want to thank the Major and I want to thank the 194th Regional Support Wing and ask that you recognize them with me. We have one final award, and he doesn't know he's being honored, but I'd ask that the Attorney General's Office, Patrick Colvin, join me up here. You'll note I didn't say willingly come up here. Patrick's with our Natural Resources Division on the 7th floor in the Highway Licenses Building, which is that beautiful building behind you. Pat's commitment to the safety and security of state employees is truly remarkable and personally experienced by me and so many others in the building. He is a driving force not only behind the AGO safety security efforts, but many statewide efforts as well, including today's safety fair. Pat is a member of our AGO Safety and Security Committee. He also serves as co-chair of the Highway and Licenses Building Safety Committee. He's an invaluable player in the workings of both committees. Pat's dedication to the safety and security of his colleagues in our office is evidenced by a range of projects that just seem endless and limitless. He has been instrumental in the HLB security upgrades. That's the building behind you I mentioned. He spearheaded the efforts to obtain new emergency PA system for our building. He's made safety information readily available, and he pretty much makes sure we all read it. He is continually working on safety drills, updating safety books, publishing our safety newsletter, and assures that emergency food is available. He is all things safety to all people in our office. He is greatly appreciated, and he is truly a resource. I will say from personal experience, I used to work in Seattle when I was a chief criminal prosecutor, and I was up there during the Nisqually earthquake, and I remember as we were trapped, I felt trapped. My instinct was to run outside where I was told the last thing you want to do is run outside where you can be crushed by falling glass. And so I remember climbing under my desk and looking at my legal assistant, and her eyes were about this big, and my eyes were about this big. When I was asked to become the chief deputy, I was asked to move down here in the corner building up there. In addition to a fancy title and a little bit better office, the true benefit is that I got to work with Pat Colvin, because I knew if there was another earthquake, this is a guy that's going to get me out of the building. So help me welcome and thank Pat.